purpose of this video is to sketch a quadratic equation where the a is a number other than 1, okay, because these are a little bit more difficult. And we're going to use the vertex form or to solve this or to sketch it, okay. Remember, when you're sketching, you want to find 4 things. You want to find where the vertex is, you want to find where the x-intercepts are, you want to find where the y-intercept is, and you want to be able to determine which direction your parabola is opening. Okay, so those are the 4 things that we want to find. Now, to find the vertex form, there's a lot of ways to do this one. I'm just going to show you one way, and it might seem a little complicated, but you can play this video as many times as you want to see if we can understand what's going on. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move the 4 over to the other side. So I'm going to have 3x squared plus 7x plus something, because I'm going to end up completing the square here, is equal to a negative 4 plus something. Okay. In order to complete the square, though, I want the x squared to be to not have a number in the front other than 1. So I'm going to factor out a 3 here. Now I can probably hear what you're thinking. How do I factor out a 3 from a 7? Well, it's actually pretty easy. You just go ahead and go 7 and then you just divide it by the 3. Now let me show you why that works here in just 1 second. Why does that work? Think about redistributing this. If I were to go 3 times 7 divided by 3, it's 21 over 3, or just 7. So when you factor out the 7, really you're just dividing it by 3. So I hope that was kind of a quick, fast explanation about how to do that. It'll work with whatever number you're looking for. Okay, now that I have this, I can actually complete the square here. Remember that the formula for completing the square here is you take half of b and square it. So you take half of b, which is b over 2, and then you square it. Now what is b in this case? b is 7 over 3. And when you take half of it, it's like multiplying it by 1/2. That gives me 7 over 6. And then I square it. You square the top, square the bottom, and you get 49 over 36. Okay, so that's what you put into that box. Again, go over that procedure if you want to see how that happened. Half of that is like multiplying it by 1/2. Then you square it, and that's what goes in there. That gives me x squared plus 7 over 3x plus 49 over 36. And that's equal to a negative 4 plus. Now here you've got to be careful. What did I just add to this whole side? Now notice in the parentheses I added 49 over 6, but what am I multiplying that parentheses by? I'm multiplying it by 3. So what I'm adding to this side is also 3 times 49 over 36. Okay? Now, let's keep going here. What is the factored form of this perfect square trinomial? It's just x plus 7 over 6 quantity squared.
May I have your attention, please? Alex Soria, Alex Gillen to the Dean's office. Soria and Gillen, please.
Now, over here I want to add these two numbers together. So I'm going to put negative 4 plus, I'm just going to reduce 3 over 36 and then get 1 over 12. So it's 49 over 12. I'm going to multiply that by 12 over 12 so that I can add these numbers. And that's going to give me negative 48 over 12 plus 49 over 12 gives me 1 over 12. Okay, you can actually go through that at a slower pace just to see. Okay, now what do I got up here? Let me just bring all these steps down. I have 3 times x plus 7 over 6 quantity squared is equal to 12. Now I'm almost done for the vertex form. Remember, with the vertex form you want to bring this over to this side, and you get 3 times x plus 7 over 6 quantity squared minus 1/12 is equal to 0. The vertex is here and here. You get a negative 7 over 6, a negative 1/12. Again, remember that it's whatever makes the x, this parentheses, equal to 0, so it would be a negative 7 over 6 minus the 1/12. Okay? Now, I can also find my y-intercept pretty quickly, so I'm going to do that because with these 2 points, I'll be able to do a quick sketch of my parabola. Let's go back up to the original problem. Remember that the y-intercept is just the c value. ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. c is 4. 0, 4. Let's do a quick sketch. Negative 7/6 is just a little bit over 1, so there's negative 7/6, and a negative 12 is right about there. So this is going to give me negative 7 over 6, negative 1/12. My y-intercept is at a positive 4. And my direction, if I look at the a value, remember the a is the number in front of the x squared, is a positive 3. That means I'm going to be going upward. Now, there's a quick sketch of my graph. Let me just go ahead and label that. That tells me that my 2 x values are going to be close to one another, and they're going to be on the x-axis. Okay? So let's solve for x. Now, where do I go to do that? Well, from the vertex form, I can just go from this step down, where it's the square is equal to something on the other side. So let me just rewrite that. Is equal to 1/12. Now, let's go ahead and isolate the x. Let's divide both sides by 3, and you get x plus 7 over 6 squared is equal to 1 over 12 times 3, or 1 over 36. Remember, I'm dividing by 3, so it's like multiplying by 12 times 3. That's actually kind of fortunate, because when I take the square root of both sides, I'm going to get x plus 7 over 6 is equal to the square root. Actually, let me just go ahead and write all this out, because it's a little easier to see it when I do it visually. Okay? There we go. And that's going to give me x plus 7 over 6 is equal to this plus or minus the square root of 1 over 6. You just take the square root of the 1 and the square root of the 36. Now I'm going to subtract 7 over 6 from both sides, and look what I get. X is equal to a negative 7 over 6 plus or minus 1/6. That reduces pretty easily. That's going to give me x is equal to negative 7 over 6 plus 1 over 6, or negative 7 over 6 minus 1 over 6. That's going to be negative 6 over 6, or a negative 1. Or, if I subtract it, I'm going to get a negative 7 over 6, negative 8 over 6, or negative 4/3. Let's see if that makes sense with our graph. It does, doesn't it? Negative 1 is right about there, so I'm going to have a negative 1, 0 for that intercept, and a negative 4/3 is just a little bit higher. Negative 4/3 and 0. And there is the graph of 3x squared plus 7x plus 4. Okay, I hope that helped. Play this as many times as you need. Good luck.